throughout the book, you talk about digitization. And obviously, with your organization and your tremendous experience, digital and where banking is headed is you're positioned perfectly in the industry. But one of the things I've always noticed about you is you talk about the power of human interaction with the digitization. Talk about that a little bit. Things like ChatGPT and other AI kinds of things. How do we blend those two together?
The human experience is something that's never going to go out of style. Um, I actually have a very strong hypothesis that as we move further into the age of AI, uh, we're going to see the pendulum swing, let's just call it, away from team tech to where organizations have been thinking a lot about technology. It reached its pinnacle 2021. We're going to start seeing the pendulum start swinging back to team humanity. And that doesn't mean that technology is going away. It doesn't mean that AI is not important. It's the emphasis of which we place our focus. Because I think a lot of technology and the conversation around technology has been for technology's sake. It hasn't necessarily been of how can this technology deepen the relationships that we have. In a way, particularly with banking, maybe it has, but I think we've lost the meaning in all of it, because banking is still a very relationship driven experience, particularly for the complex journeys of, say, buying a home or the SMB side of things. And one of the greatest opportunities to deepen human connection, and I'm looking at it and exploring a potential business opportunity with this, is just simply having conversations. Having conversations, like, let's say you're an SMB lender, and having conversations with other entrepreneurs in the communities that you're helping. Well, you can now capture and record those conversations. And those conversations, because they've been captured and recorded, you get video out of it, you get audio out of it, you get a transcript out of it. Well, the big concern is, well, I don't have time. I don't have time to manage all of that. Well, all you have to do is just have the conversation, ask the good questions, because you're going to be learning through the eyes of the entrepreneur. They're going to be learning from you based upon your experience, and you're going to leave that conversation different. You can now take that conversation, package it up in a multitude of different ways: a podcast, a video on LinkedIn, a LinkedIn post. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're actually having to write any of that, because through the training of an AI model, through your own GPT for that matter, you're able to then transcribe, take the transcription, and compose a LinkedIn post. Sounds like you, but you didn't necessarily write it. It might have got the 80% for you, to where you still have to oversight and approve it, just like you would any type of other writer than yourself. But it allows you to multiply your time. It allows you to multiply your relationships. And that is going to be the most important part of any experience, is the relationship. It is the human connection, which cannot be made artificial by any manner.
And there's a lot of marketing people who are listening to this and saying, Amen. There are a lot of business bankers and small business bankers who are going, this is absolutely great. But my bank does not allow me to use this methodology. What are you seeing in banking? Are we starting to loosen this engine up a little bit, or are we still kind of holding back for whatever reason?
I'd like to say it's being loosened up, just through some recent experiences and leading team alignment workshops as part of the Banking on Digital Growth program. Even about 2.5 years since the mass adoption of AI at a macro level, because that was November 30th, 2022, when ChatGPT came out and went from 0 to 100 million users in just 2 months. Through the context and through the lens of banking and financial services, anecdotally, I'd say when I run and facilitate team alignment workshops, about 70% of financial brand leaders, 60%, 70% have not used a GPT or used an AI model, large language model. Maybe 20% have. They've dabbled. 5 to 10% are actually actively using it in their day to day. And a lot of it is because this is going to require a reframe of operations. It's going to require a reframe of mindsets. Even the 5 to 10% who are using it actively, or maybe the 20 to 30% who have dabbled with it, when we dive deeper into their contextual experience, it has been, they've used a GPT very similar to how they would have used Google back in 1994. And if you think about like 1994, that was the year the internet reached the mass consciousness of humanity. And that required a transformation of behavior, because the idea of quote unquote Googling something back in 1994 was very foreign. So that was a skill set, that was a capability that had to be learned. I mean, even to this day, my wife is the one who's asking me to Google things for her, because she knows, like, today she called, she said, I need you to stalk someone for me. I said, excuse me? She said, I need you to find an address for someone that we need to send a thank you note to. Better put, 20 seconds. It would have taken her minutes to find, because I know the right questions to ask. And that's the capability that's even more so needed when working with an AI like a GPT. It's not Googling, it's literally having a conversation, a dialogue, a discussion, a discourse. Because the better questions that you ask, the better the output's going to be. And I know I've had bankers, oh, I played with it, but I didn't like what it said. Did you ask it another question? Did you ask it a follow-up? Did you ask it to clarify? No, I never thought that. I said, think of it like you're having a conversation with another person. And that's, once again, though, that's where people get very uncomfortable in transforming their behavior, because to transform their behavior, you have to now transform belief.